Saudi Arabian blogger Raif Badawi, who's been sentenced to 1,000 lashes as well as 10 years in prison, was just awarded with the European Union's Prize for Human Rights and Freedom of Thought on Thursday. So just yesterday he was given this award. Really, really cool. It's called the Sakharov Prize. Now it's named after the Soviet scientist and dissident Andrei Sakharov. Now, for those who don't know, Mr. Badawi's in jail and was given these lashes for what the kingdom calls insulting Islam and cybercrime. Now, in his case, insulting Islam and cybercrime means being a blogger and openly criticizing the kingdom. He was talking about how harsh the punishments are, how strictly everything's enforced regarding religion, because atheism is actually regarded as terrorism in Saudi Arabia. So, upon talking about that, he was arrested and given his very lengthy sentence that a lot of human rights activists are coming out and saying is just ridiculous, and I happen to agree because it is. I have a quote from a British lawmaker named Syed Kamal. Now, he's a member of that very European Assembly that gave him this award. He was actually the one that nominated Mr. Badawi. Here's what he had to say. Saudi Arabia can lock up the man and they can lash him, but they will only strengthen amongst his countrymen the yearning for free speech and debate that he stands for. Now, Jose, what do you think? Could this actually strain relations between Britain and the Saudis? Because I want to let you know, the Saudi Arabian ambassador in London actually came out on Monday and he threatened what he said potentially serious repercussions for its ties with Britain unless a more respectful discourse developed. Now, the very fact that they're criticizing the Saudis for something so ridiculous, in his eyes, is disrespectful. Now, what about respecting your own people and their own ideas and free thinking?
Well, there's not such a thing in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And I think that's what the whole Raif Badawi case, it's a very good example of that complex relationship in between Saudi Arabia and the rest of the world. On one end, we are really, really close. We're business partners and we work with them. But then we do have to denounce when they violate human rights. And in this case, we've been covering this story. And the amount of backlash from many organizations around the world, non-profits, governments that have said, you shouldn't move forward with this and you should start being more open to the free thought of your citizens. Saudi Arabia knows that without that control, most of the Islamic countries, they have to keep this tight control on their populations, because that's how they think it's going to work. Now, what we see countries that are leading the world in executions, the lack of respect on human rights, continuously putting young people that are just trying to share a new perspective with their peers behind jails and being victims of 1,000 lashes.
Right. I was listening on the BBC actually to an interview between one of their journalists and the wife of Mr. Badawi, and she was saying how he's extremely unhappy. He still doesn't know he's won this prize, by the way. Maybe they called him by now, but this was yesterday that I heard this interview. She said he has no idea he's won it. They get to talk like once a week for maybe 10 minutes. That's all he gets for the next 10 years. It's extremely sad. And regarding this case, I have a hard time. I'm trying to figure out, is this going to help him? Or is this going to make things worse? Because clearly what I read, what the ambassador in London had said, they're clearly very angry that he got this award. And they're very angry that other countries are stepping in and trying to meddle with their own Islamic laws. They don't like that kind of stuff. So getting this much attention, I don't know if it's going to help him or actually make matters worse and make them, be more stubborn about it and say, well, no, now if we let him go, then we're going to look like,
Exactly.
We're giving in. And that's the problem.
And I think you bring attention to something that is very important. The fact that on one side, we are making him a hero. We're making him a poster boy for freedom of speech. On the other side, they're making him a poster child for what you shouldn't be doing in the country. Right. So we have this guy who wanted to just share his thoughts in the middle of two huge thought machines. One trying to make an example of him, of if you dare to share your thoughts with the citizens, I will put you in jail for 10 years and punish you. And on the other end, we have the Western world saying, no, this guy is a hero. He's putting himself out there like that, regardless of what is going to happen to him. And at the end, we have a guy that is sitting on a jail cell, unaware of all of these happening, and I think that's kind of sad.
Yeah, extremely sad. Now, some past winners of this very prize. The first ever winner back in the 80s, Mr. Nelson Mandela. He got the prize. Also, more recently, actually, was Malala Yousafzai, right? The Pakistani women's rights activist. So we see all of them standing up for very different issues, but kind of in the same category. They're standing up against people who are telling them they can't do things, and they don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a little premature to put Badawi at the same category than Mandela and Malala, but I think they do share being persecuted by their governments, and they do share relentlessly moving forward and saying, I'm not going to stop, I'm going to keep standing for what I believe. And I think in that term, he's, it's a well-deserved award.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And those are the kind of people that really do make this world a better place. We want to know what you guys have to say on the matter of him winning this award. Do you think he deserves it? Also, what do you think about his case in general? Him being given all those lashes and 10 years in prison just for being a blogger and speaking his mind, something that we take for granted in this country. Let us know in the comments, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the Lip TV for more.